It's the battle for the Bonham Trophy as Texas A&M and South Carolina get set to do battle in College Station. We are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down this game between the Aggies and the Gamecocks. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He's Cole the Bear Thompson. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. We are inching ever so close to that 30,000 subscriber mark, and we can't do it without your love and support. Also, make sure you check out our friends over at FANDUEL because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FANDUEL, FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get in on the action today. Texas A&M and South Carolina get set to do battle Saturday at Kyle Field. A&M putting their perfect record on the line. Meanwhile, South Carolina looking to come to town and play spoiler and do something they've never done in program history, that be getting a win in College Station. We are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down this game. It's the battle for the Bonham Trophy, and if you didn't know that, shame on you, because you absolutely should. As always, guys, I'm Chris Phillips. Joining me, as he always does, my co-host, colleague, partner in crime, one of the best in the business, and I know someone that ranks the Bonham Trophy as one of the best rivalry game trophies in all of college football, that being Mr. Cole the Bear Thompson. Bear, what's going on, man? I feel like I just insulted you by saying that.
Yeah, because totally, we all know about the Bonham Trophy, and we know how there is a horse with a man sitting on top with what looks like river floating below it underneath as he is stepping into battle. Hey, but this is a battle for South Carolina as much as it is for Texas A&M. A win, it quite literally guarantees that you will finish with 10 victories and earn your spot into the college football playoff. I know the battered Aggie syndrome people are still saying, we can find a way to screw it on up against Stanford, so don't put the wagon for the horse. Okay, you win this one, you're at 10-0. So there we go. Problem solved. But for South Carolina, this is also a battle because what happens if you lose this game? There's no bowl bid. There's no more buy-in afterwards. What's the point of showing on up against Coastal and showing on up against Clemson for the Palmetto Bowl trophy if you don't win this one? So many things that could easily derail a season out in Columbia, even more so than it already has. The buy-in underneath Shane Beamer could be lost at this standpoint. And for Texas A&M, the battered Aggie scissor could sneak just on up behind you if you lose this one and people go, oh, here we go, finding a way to screw it up for ourselves when we go into Austin to take on Texas. Now watch us collapse in the playoff. Just find a way to win this one, and it gives you a little bit more confidence that you are built and ready to go on a run toward a national title.
They're going to be interesting. I do want to show some love to the Bonham Trophy really quickly. In case you guys do not know, named and modeled after Alamo Battle hero James Bonham. It was commissioned in 2013 by former Texas Governor Rick Perry and then South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. They've been awarding this trophy since the two started playing back in 2014. Per an article, this is again a couple years ago, though. How prevalent is it? As recently as 2018, they asked several Aggie players, A&M officials, they asked them where its whereabouts were. Most of them were unaware that it even existed. So, again, that was years ago. I'm sure that's not the case anymore, but they had been playing for 4 or 5 years, and still people were like, wait, what? What trophy are you talking about? Either way, going to be a fun one Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff, airing on ESPN down in College Station, Texas at Kyle Field. Bear, per our friends at FanDuel, A&M is a 18.5-point favorite. The over-under sits at 47.5. This number, Bear, has actually gone up. I believe A&M at one point, I think they opened right around 16.5, if not that, maybe 17.5, but the number has gone up. The money is coming in on the Aggies to win and to win big. Bear, A&M leads the all-time series 9-2. South Carolina got their first win over Texas A&M back in 2022 in the series history. Of course, they won the game last year, you might recall, 44-20. That was one of those Lenora Sellers kind of coming out parties that put him and South Carolina on the map, if you will. They had won a couple of games previous to that, but that was the exclamation point that told people, hey, the Gamecocks have arrived in 2024. Much different story now how the season's going for the Garnet and Black, but South Carolina with an opportunity still, Bear, to do something they've never done, and that is get a win in College Station. First couple contests were close. You had a 7-point game in 2015, 7-point game in 2017, but then they got pretty ugly. A 24-point loss in 2019, a 30-point loss in 2021, and then a 13-point loss in 2023. So the games under Shane Beamer in College Station have not been very close. But I want to start, Bear, as we talk about this game on the Texas A&M side. Let's just call it for what it is. The way this Aggies team has been rolling this season, if they take care of their business in this one, they're going to win the football game. They are just top to bottom the better team. I don't even think it's up for debate. It will take A&M playing their C- D+ game, I think, to lose this one. I really do. And South Carolina probably playing their A or A+ game. We talked about it all season, Bear. It feels like they have the least deficiencies of any team in the league. They're the most complete team of any team in the league. They can run it. They can throw it with Marcel Reed. They've got weapons on the outside. Their defensive front is ferocious. They are absolutely dynamic on third down. I mean, am I oversimplifying it here? I'm really just trying to give the roses that I feel like Texas A&M deserves, especially them being back on their home field. Like, I feel like we're kind of past the battered Aggie syndrome part of this season, dare I say.
I mean, if you want me to drop the other shoe, I will. You're still one of the most penalized teams in college football. So does that come back to bite you on 3rd and 1 to go to 3rd and 5? And you change at the play design in South Carolina with Dylan Stewart gets a massive stop and you don't get the 4th down conversion and you're out of field goal range. Like that would have to be a part of it. But no, I agree with you. I mean, where this A&M team is, they've checked off every single box that I needed answered to prove that they are a college football playoff national championship contender. They've already proven to me that they're a playoff contender, but winning 3 straight road games and being able to outgain opponents by 200 yards, trusting your rushing attack, being able to win with the short to intermediate game in the passing attack, and being able to find a rhythm in the repertoire downfield, building up and getting a number 3 weapon outside of Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion, having your defense take away the rushing elements of another opponent, where that's been their strength for most of the game. And by the time that you finally allow a Jamal Robertson and Ahmad Hardy to start boot scooting and boogieing, game's out of reach. I mean, like, that's just kind of where we are. So A&M, you're right. The battered Aggie syndrome is done, but there's always just the part of, well, you got to have a D+ game. Like, you have to have a D+ game. And I think that many people would turn to that Arkansas game and say, well, that was the D+ game. You know, we allowed Arkansas to find its way back in. They only lost by 3. Let me ask you guys something. Did you ever feel like that Texas A&M was in jeopardy of losing that game? Like, did you just feel like that was a game to where, okay, the score says otherwise, but we know what the actual case was. We let them back in. It got a little bit too close. The beauty about what this Texas A&M team is, though, Chris, is that every single time you bring up Mike Elko, he is not happy about where his team plays in the second half. So he will make sure that if they do not play up to his standard, they will hear the end of it throughout practice the week, when they get back into the locker room at halftime. That's something that I think is massively different about this A&M team than other opponents that we've seen in the past.
Bear, on the other side, you look at what happened last year, again, the 44-20 win, South Carolina dominating Texas A&M. And, you know, you look back at the recipe of that. It was physicality up front. They got under the skin, essentially, of Marcel Reed, disrupted the offense. It was also Lenoris Sellers being Lenoris Sellers. And I don't know that we've really seen that version of Sellers much, if hardly at all. Obviously, we know Mike Shula has been fired. Like, it's going to be a different look, we presume, on the offensive side. Number one, what does that wrinkle look like offensively? And number two, will it be enough? You and I think both agree, though, they just got to cut Sellers loose, man. I don't. What do you have to lose? Like you said, like, you're probably not going to a bowl game, but if you're going to have any shot, you got to let this kid go out there and try to be Superman again, because that's why they won this game last year.
Yeah. Over 300 total yards of offense. Also taking away Lavian Moss, who had the season-ending injury in this matchup, really did hinder A&M's offensive success for this game. But it came down to Sellers and Rocket Sanders kind of blasting off and having their look at us moment. You need to have that. You need to be able to trust that 16 is going to be able to make plays in the open field. You need to be able to make sure that you get something when it comes to traction on third down. And I've heard that there are a lot of South Carolina fans that are unpleased with Sellers. Guys, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Sellers is the reason why you've had a shot in almost any game. He's played terrible in some games. I'll give you credit where credit's due, but you don't have an opportunity to beat Alabama without Lenoris Sellers. You don't have an opportunity to start off the third quarter with a big-time touchdown against Ole Miss without Lenore Sellers. You got to let Sellers play his brand of football at this standpoint. And the other thing that you got to realize is he is going to be the reason why you sink or swim moving forward. I think that you have to be able to trust that he knows what's best for this offense and kind of let him call it. If you think that there are some play designs that aren't going your way, Sellers 16, you have the go. You have the green light. Call the audible. Make this a game to where, hey, we're going to trick Texas A&M into thinking that we're running it up the middle, and so we're going to pitch it to the outside, and we're going to gain 15. Hey, we're going to have a design QB run that feels like I'm going to step on up in the pocket. Instead, Rasul Faison, Oscar Attaway be in the right place. They can dunk over the top. Go ahead and make plays. It's a lot easier said than done because you got guys like Torian York, you got guys like Damon Saintford, all these other players that can certainly easily take away some of the elements in the second and third level of your defense. But this comes down to Sellers speed Sellers. Like, let's go play some backyard BS. In the great words of Paul Crew, that backyard BS wins us some football games. That's what you're going to need down in College Station, Texas.
Bear, a lot of the conversation obviously is around the offensive coordinator. It'll be Mike Furry calling the plays. I believe he's going to have maybe Sean Elliott helping him as well. It's going to be a collective effort, but I think Mike Furry is going to be the main play caller in this football game. But you know who I think is pulling the hair out this week? It's not Mike Furry and it's not the offensive staff. It's Clayton White, because the challenge that they've got going up against this A&M football team and this A&M rushing attack specifically. Bear, South Carolina gave up 258 rushing yards to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And as good as Ole Miss's rushing attack is, it's not what A&M's going to roll out there. It's just not. That three-headed monster they've got, the ability of Marcel Reed to get out of the pocket and run the football. I mean, Bear, maybe this is an over-exaggeration, and they obviously won't do this. I feel like A&M could run it essentially every single play and win this game. Like, I don't even think they have to throw it. And I think if you're A&M, you're probably just going to run it until they prove it to you that they can stop it. And that's the problem. I don't know that South Carolina can stop it. So I think it's going to be a very pick-your-poison day if you're South Carolina, but I don't know that the Gamecocks can line up toe-to-toe. And there's not a lot of teams that can line up toe-to-toe and stop A&M and what they're doing in the rushing attack.
Like, let's make this clear. We're not picking on South Carolina because of how bad the season is. It's just there's not a lot of teams that have been able to slow down really this four-headed monster, with Lavian Moss being out for a majority of these games. I mean, like, that's the other thing is that, hey, no Lavian Moss. Okay. Well, we got Ruben Owens. We got Jamarian Morrow. We got EJ Smith. We got Marcel Reed. We still have Amari Daniels. Like, we still have guys that can find ways to tote the rock. The reason why I think that this is going to be a game where A&M maybe trusts its rushing attack a little bit more, South Carolina, whether or not we say it's been a great defensive year or a bad defensive year, they're still 32nd in the country in pass defense. They're one of 36 teams that allow less than 200 yards per contest. And yeah, you're going to have, I think, some design plays to Mario Craver, to Casey Concepcion, probably even to Ashton Bethel Roman, to where it's a screen game and you let him kind of get upfield. Like, Marcel Reed's gotten really comfortable running Colin Klein's system where he can kind of see the chinks in the armor of where is the faults for a defense and use that to his advantage. And that's what we saw with the Casey Concepcion screen to a touchdown pass against Missouri coming out of halftime out in Faurot Field. I think we could see something like that, but this is going to be one of those games where I think that they say, make us throw the football. Like, you remember that matchup against Penn State with Michigan a few years ago with J.J. McCarthy, and everyone was like, well, J.J. McCarthy, he's not a good quarterback because they didn't even throw the second half. Michigan told Penn State, we are running it down your throat, force us to throw the football, and they never stopped them. And that might just be a good enough game plan for Texas A&M to be able to walk away and feel pretty confident about where their team is and where their offensive identity is. If you don't need to go trust one thing, then don't worry about it. Just wait until they give you an opportunity to throw it. And eventually what we're going to see is Clayton White's defense kind of corral and load the box. They're going to make plays at the line of scrimmage. That's when you take your deep shots to number one. That's when you go find number three. That's when you go find number two, number seven, and you find your way into the end zone for 6 points.
I wanted to bring this up, Cole. I don't know if you remember this from last year, and our good friend Ryan Broninger from Tex Ags reposted it. I totally forgot about this or missed it or what have you. I think the atmosphere at Kyle Field is going to be really good, despite the fact it's an 11 a.m. game. Shane Beamer, after the win last year, going to the podium and essentially saying, thank you to our crowd, thank you to our fans. They really served as the 12th man So that one's been recirculating on the timeline this week. I got a feeling Aggies are going to show up and show out and wanting to get some revenge, and how fitting it'd be for them to get revenge, and that revenge victory equate to essentially a spot in the college football playoff, a double-digit win season. I think Kyle Field's actually for an 11 a.m. going to be a great atmosphere Saturday.
Well, remind yourself, the next home game that they have is against Samford. Yeah. I mean,
last SEC home game of the year.
We can call a spade a spade. This is their last SEC home game, and this is their last big game. And how fitting it would be to be able to win this one, clinch your spot in the college football playoff. Know that you really just need to await the outcome of the Texas-Georgia game to figure out, are you in a good spot to make it to Atlanta too? I mean, like it's little things like that to where the atmosphere, I think, is going to be very iconic. It's going to be ravenous. This is technically a rivalry game. You have a little bit of vengeance on your mind from last season, because don't forget, Chris, this was where it all came crashing down for Texas A&M. Was on the road at Willie B. They were 7-1 going into this matchup in the month of November. This is where the other shoe dropped. This is where they found the wheels kind of flying off the rails. This is a game to where I think that a lot of A&M fans would just love to be able to say, look at how well our team has transformed in the last 18 months. Look at how well this time last year we thought we were a playoff team. Now we know we're a playoff team. Now we know the culture's different. I think for South Carolina, it's a great opportunity to play the spoiler role, but it's also a little too late to kind of really play spoiler. At this point, you're kind of fighting every single snap for your season to end with a bowl bid.
Recipe for the massive upset, Bear, because this would be a massive upset. What is it for South Carolina?
Forcing Marcel Reed red zone turnovers, either when A&M is trying to score or when you get them pinned back because of a great punt and execution on special teams. I think Beamer ball. I think you are going to need to have one or two critical plays on special teams. And that doesn't mean you got to see a punt return go back 67 yards to the house. That means stopping a guy like Casey Concepcion from making a play. That means forcing a muff punt. That means blocking a kick and taking it back the other way. Little things like that, I think, are going to go massive in favor of South Carolina. But those two elements. And then when you get into that red zone opportunity, if you get turnovers, you have to walk away with points. You can't just say, well, we kept them out of the end zone and then we went 3 and out and we punted. No, you got to be able to move the football down the field and be able to at least gain 3. If you can gain 3, you can keep pace with Texas A&M, which I don't think you will right now.
When has South Carolina won games this year? When they've forced defensive touchdowns and special teams touchdowns, certainly the great equalizers. When has Texas A&M won? Well, every time they've stepped on the field, they've won the game. So would be a massive upset, no doubt. That being said, Bear, let's lock in some picks. Let's lock in some predictions for this one. You want me to start or you want the honors here?
You know what? I'll go first. South Carolina fans, I have an allegiance to you. You have been nothing but kind to the Bear. You have been nothing but welcoming to my humble family. And I hope you know that I don't think that this is the end all be all, that last season wasn't a fluke. I do believe that there is more than just what meets the eye for the Gamecocks moving forward. And Willie B still is one of the most ravenous, toxic, hostile environments in college football. It is my favorite cathedral of chaos. And unfortunately, I don't think that this will be the season where you live up to all the end goals that you initially had. I'm not selling my stock on Shane Beamer. I'm not selling my stock on Lenore Sellers. I think that this is a game to where you understand from the fan base perspective, you got to give us a little bit more time. You got to give us a little bit more resources. We got to be able to kind of come on out and have a bit more of an identity. And these are things that we're going to learn from as a coaching staff to get better than. But I do think that Texas A&M is the more complete team. I think Texas A&M has a little bit more fight. I think the Texas A&M has even a little bit more to kind of prove, because for you, you've already beaten A&M when they felt like that they were on top of the world. And A&M fans still to this day are waiting to figure out, does the other shoe drop? The other shoe can't drop when you're guaranteed a bowl bid in the college football playoff by sitting with 10 wins going into the last 2 games of the season. So I think that A&M is going to come out swinging. I think South Carolina is going to make this thing interesting in the first half. I think that you could even see South Carolina making this more so a battle that we witnessed against Mississippi State, where it was A&M led, but not by much, and not to where you felt like that this was where things were kind of going in your path. And then A&M comes out in the second half and they just dominate. It's a big spread, which makes me feel like that maybe South Carolina can cover it. But has there been an opportunity to really see this offense kind of take that next jump forward? I don't think so. And the last time I took South Carolina, it came back to bite me in the ass because your defense couldn't get a stop on Kawan Lacey. And Kawan Lacey's a great running back. But Lavian Moss, Ruben Owens, Amari Daniels, those are all three great running backs. And you don't even have Lavian Moss out there right now. Ruben Owens can get this job done. And I think he does. I think he has a hat trick of a day on the ground. I think that Marcel Reed finds his way into the end zone twice. And I'm going to go a final score of 38-17. I think that A&M trounces their path to the college football playoff, and the battered Aggie system is officially dead. Welcome to a new era of Aggie land football where Mike Elko, expectations, they're expected to be playing for a national championship. And on Saturday, you're going to see why Texas A&M is built to go ahead and win one down in South Beach.
Yeah, Bear, it's two teams in this 2025 season that are just in completely different places, right? Texas A&M, that realistic national title hopes and expectations. South Carolina just trying to pull off a miracle essentially and get to a bowl game. Really, their season is just going to come down to can they beat Clemson or not. That's going to be kind of the thing you're looking to hang your hat on, if you will. And then from there, figuring out what the future looks like with different players on your roster and Shane Beamer and what have you. First game post Mike Shula. So it will be interesting offensively if there's any semblance of life. Does that inject a spark, some energy, which I think as a Gamecock fan, you'd be excited to see, also frustrated because it'd probably tell you, man, like what could the season have been if we just had a half-decent, half-competent offensive coordinator? I feel like you played a little bit of the good cop role, Bear, so I'm going to play a little bit of the bad cop role. Listen, Texas A&M has been beating a lot of people this year. They're going to beat you. South Carolina needs to be more worried about not losing to Coastal Carolina than they need to be worried about beating Texas A&M because this game is, like I said, Texas A&M could run this ball every play and they're going to win this game. If they get 60 snaps, they could run it 60 times and I still think they'd win the football game. I think it's Clayton White this week who's, funny enough, he's bald, by the way, me saying this. I was going to say ripping his hair out, but I think it's Clayton White who's having trouble sleeping this week, getting ready for this game. What does Mike Furry and the offensive side look like? I don't know. I think Lenora Sellers will have some impressive plays in this one, but I think it'll be more of the same for South Carolina, and I think it'll be more of the same for Texas A&M. I think they win this game. I think they win this game big. I don't think this game is close. I actually like A&M to cover. I'll be honest. I think if you bet on South Carolina to cover, you're clinging for dear life that the far lesser team can somehow back their way into not getting killed. And I don't see it. I think, too, at this point, like, you have to start asking yourself, how many blows can this South Carolina team take and stay locked in? Because it's only human nature where it's like, I mean, dude, at some point you would think, like, these guys are just going to get defeated and this is not the team to do that against because A&M is fired up, motivated. They're going to bring their A game. I think it'd take a miracle to pull off the upset, and I don't think it's going to happen. Give me Texas A&M 44, South Carolina 13. I think it's a big, big win for the Aggies. I think they run 250-plus minimum in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if they eclipse the 300-yard rushing mark. I think it's going to be a huge day on the ground. They'll be able to kind of dictate and, dare I say, name your score in this one. So 44-13 Aggies. It's just two teams in completely different spectrums when it comes to this season.
Welcome to the college football playoff officially, Texas A&M.
Yeah, welcome to the playoff. Welcome to the party. Glad to have the Aggies in it. Guys, again, we're both going Texas A&M. Would love to hear from you all. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who do you think comes out on top Saturday in College Station, A&M or Carolina? Once again, guys, it's going to do all for us. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Before we get out of here, do want to tell you about our friends here at FanDuel because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. It's NBA tip-off week, and FanDuel is your home for live betting. Even if you miss the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel's got live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join because FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to sign up today. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Guys, once again, we appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, all across your favorite social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Cole the Bear Thompson, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you all tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you all on the other side.